Welcome to the Romance Your Tribe podcast with me, Janet Beckers, where every episode is about action, creating an online business you absolutely love, and bringing joy to the work you do. Let's get this party started. Hello and welcome, Janet Beckers here. And in this episode of Romance Your Tribe podcast, we're going to be looking at sales calls and how to actually make them fun. Like, is that possible? So if you've ever been in a situation where you might fit one of these two categories, one is you've been thinking it would be really good to be using sales calls as part of the process of recruiting new clients, but you just haven't done it because the whole idea of selling makes you feel like icky. And you're thinking, what if I get on the call and they say no, or I get rejected, or they really, they resent me for what is happening on that call. So if that's you and you just have been putting it off, procrastinating because, it just does not feel right. Or you may be the other situation where, you know what, good on you. You have been doing sales calls as a way of, qualifying clients and enrolling them in your products, your services, but it's actually not a nice experience for you. You have to really, really psych up for it before you have a sales call. There's lots and lots of, visualizing and meditating to sort of get yourself in the process, or none of that at all, and you're just kind of turning up and it's not a good feeling. You may not necessarily be getting a high conversion rate, so when you do run the calls, it's not working so well, and you feel nervous and it doesn't feel good. So what we're going to be doing, so if any of those sound like you, just know that there is a way through this. So you can actually make sales calls fun. Now, that's not just me saying that. That is feedback I've had from my clients. In fact, there's another podcast episode, a Tribe Spotlight one with Julie Watson. Go and listen to that one because she shares the process that she went through from absolutely dreading doing any sales calls to looking forward to it. And as soon as that changed around, nailed a $20,000 sale. Her largest one yet, just from the process that I'm going to be walking you through today. Okay, so this works. But in order for us to be able to see what you need to have in place that's going to make it fun, I'm first of all going to run over just a few of the mistakes that people make, okay? So that you know that, if that's what's happening with you, that's just really normal, okay? So we'll just run over a few of those things that people are doing wrong. And I'll also talk about situations when, when should you be using a sales call and when should you be just using a sales letter? Like, at what point do you decide that you're going to get on the phone with people or on Zoom? Okay, that's what we're going to cover today. There's quite a bit. We've got a whole module called Sell It, Baby, Sell It. It's actually one of the milestones. We've got 6 milestones in the Attract Your Tribe Academy, and the Sell It, Baby, Sell It is a core part of that. We've got a whole series of 4 modules that go in there, and one of them really goes into detail on how to sell on the phone, how to sell on Zoom. So I'm going to be giving you a bit of an outline on that, but just know if this is something that you really want some help with, I've got your back, baby. Just contact me and just say Academy and I'll make sure that you get the links, and or we can hop on the phone. There you go. So let's have a look at, first of all, the common mistakes that people make, okay? One of the mistakes that people make is they pretend that they're not actually having a sales call. So they'll try to say, look, this is a free session. And so when you're starting to run the sales call, you're lying to start off with, okay? Sure, you can tell yourself you're going to give great value, but you're lying because really this is a sales call. You want people to buy something. So that's a big mistake that people make. And I'll go further into this in the next episode where I'm going to actually go over structuring the actual sales call itself so you don't get that ickiness. But that's one of them. Like, just be honest with people, okay? Just say, look, you know what? I'm going to give you great value on the call. You're probably going to get there'll be a some action steps that you can take afterwards. But really, we're just going to see if I can help you. Okay, so we'll go into a little bit more with that, but that's a big mistake that people make. So you're setting yourselves up to feel as if you're icky to start with, as if you're not being honest. And also, you know, people know that if they're getting something like a free call, they know it's a sales call, and so they've lost a level of trust anyway. Okay, so that's a big mistake people make. Another mistake that people make, and this is the one that, oh heavens, I just did this so much until I started doing lots of training on how to actually do sales calls, and then really consolidated it to the way I do, is you do this. You're really good at what you do, okay? You've got solutions for people. You get somebody on your call and you try, it goes from being a sales call to a coaching call. And you give them so much help on that call that at the end they're going, well, I've got so much stuff to do. You've been so generous. I'm going to go and do that and then I'll come back. There you go. Have you heard that before? Really, really common thing. So that's a really, really common mistake that people are making. And then another really common mistake that people make is they hand over the control of what's happening on the call to whoever it is that's the sales call. So they'll say, hey, so tell me what your problems are, you know, how can I help you? No. So in the next episode, I'm going to go over and show you how do you take control of the whole process when you've got them on the call. But what we're going to do here now is, before you even get them on the phone, what do you need to have in place so you know that that sales call is going to be fun and you are looking forward to it. So yeah, if you've got if any of those ones that I have just talked about sounds familiar to you, just know they are really, really normal, and this is what's going to happen. There is other one that you will get people who are on the phone, you get them on the call, and you think, you know what, they're never going to buy. You know, they are the wrong people. So we'll go into that as well. Now, before I go over the 3 things that you need to have in place, let's first of all look at when would you run a sales call anyway? Because I want you to think about the process of selling. There's quite lots of different ways that you can be selling. You could be selling through a webinar. You could be selling through a sales page. You could be selling to a group through another process that might be like a giveaway, you know, or a challenge, a Facebook challenge. There's lots of ways that you can actually be selling. And selling is really just you saying, look, if you've got this problem and you're this person and you're looking for this solution, this is how I can help you. And then help them to make the decision if it's right for them. That's all selling is, okay? So there's lots of different ways that you can sell. So when do you know, okay, I'm going to get them onto the phone and have a one-on-one conversation with them, rather than doing something that is more group selling or hands-off selling through a sales letter? So this is the way that I look at it. You're spending your time, you know, you're probably going to have to allocate an hour or so, because you've got, you know, before you get on the call and when you're on the call, you want to make sure you get a return on investment of your time, okay? So I will very, very rarely get on a sales call if it's for something that is less than $1,000. Normally $2,000 is my cutoff point. But if you're selling anything that is higher than between $1,000 and $2,000, it depends on your market. You know, $2,000 in some markets is very little. In some other markets, it's just humongous. So play this by ear. But you've got that cutoff point where people are going to really want to ask you questions personally, because it's a big investment for them. So for that reason, you've got to think about return on investment. When is the point where people really need to have a conversation with you? So for me, it normally fits, you know, at least $2,000. Occasionally it might be for something under $2,000, but not usually. So what's going to be for you? I would be very reluctant to do for you at least under $1,000, unless you're really, really just starting out and you're getting your first few clients. you might think, awesome, this is going to be the way I'm going to go. And even if I just sell something for 400 or 500, that will be a huge win and worth my time. So I want you to think about that first, okay? And there's times, you know, over 2,000, you really do need to get on the phone, okay? Unless you're in a market where the numbers are much larger. Normally. So, and you'll know if you're in that market. So I just wanted to do that one first so that you're not going to be spending a lot of time making sales that are $100, and also you're trying to really push a sale for something that's, you know, over a few $1,000s, where it would be so much more efficient just to have a chat. Okay, now let's look at the 3 things that you need to have in place to be able to make sales calls fun. Okay, so the very, very first thing you need to do is you need to be super duper clear that you know exactly who your offer, your service. I'm mainly talking to service providers here, but whether it's your one-on-one, whether it is a group program, whether it's a course, whatever it is that you do, you've got to make sure that you know exactly who is the right person for that. And you also need to know what is the outcome that they're looking for. Like, what's the transformational journey that they are wanting to go on? So, and by that I mean, what's the problem they've got now and what's their goal? Like, how will they know that they have achieved it? Okay, so for example, to do with sales calls, you know, the transformational journey may be, I've got no idea how to run a sales call and it scares the crap out of me, right through to, I have got everything in place to create fantastic sales calls with confidence, and I have a really high conversion rate. So that could be the outcome. So you want to, that's just as an example. So for you, you've got to be super duper clear on that. And it is not enough to say, you know, I work with people of this gender and this age who are in this industry. No, you need to be absolutely super duper clear on the beginning point, the end point, and all the steps that they go through. You need to be clear on that transformational journey and how you help them to achieve it. Where do you fit in? Now, this is an area that I find that people think that they know and they don't. They've done it at a very superficial level. And it's actually taught in a lot of places in a really superficial level. It drives me crazy because the clearer and clearer and clearer you get on this step means that every single thing you do in your business, what you offer, how you market, everything becomes easier and easier and easier. So if you need help with that, I've got a we have a whole module on this in the Academy, but I've got a really unique process called the Profitable Avatar Quadrant, and you've actually got 4. You've got those ideal clients, they fit into 4 categories. 1 is the most profitable. So you need to be clear on that. So if you're not clear on what the transformational journey is that your ideal client is wanting to go on and how you fit into that transformational journey, your promise to them of how you can help them to achieve that outcome. If you're not clear on that, it's going to be really awful doing sales calls because you're going to end up getting the wrong people on the call. You're not really clear on how, you know, you can't articulate with them about, you know, what they're going to achieve. So if you haven't got that, that can be one of the reasons why you might be finding sales calls intimidating, because you're never sure if you've got exactly the right person on, or if you do, you think that they're going to be the right person, but they're not, because the way that you identified them was too general. So you're getting a lot of people on the call that aren't really going to be the perfect clients. They weren't super hungry for what it was, that the outcome that you helped them to get. Okay, so if you get that one first, honestly, that is the biggest chunk. So that's step number 1, super duper clear, not just who your profitable client is, but what the transformational journey is that they are on, how hungry are they for it, and what is your transformational promise? How can you help them? If you need help with that, just contact me. I've got all of the steps to help you do that, and that's fun. Now, step 2, once you're clear on that, you only want to get those people on a sales call. You do not want to be investing your time with people that either aren't really wanting to get to whatever the transformational outcome is, or they're partway through, or they're not really committed to it. They think it's, oh yeah, that'd be a fun idea, it'd be a good idea, but they're not really committed to it. So you only want people who are very likely to buy on your sales calls. So that's the next step. You need to have a qualifying process. You need to have a process that gets people before, so you only have people on that call that you're likely to be able to sell to. Now, this really triggers a lot of people, because the thought of saying, no, I won't get on the call with you, is really, really hard. I mean, that's awful. So there is a whole process around how to do that with a lot of class. But a really good wording for you to use is to say, let's see if you qualify for a call. So they're actually having to qualify for the call. So they already know that there's a chance that they won't. And then you can also say, if you don't qualify, I'll show you where I can get you some more help. Okay, so that qualifying process is what my clients do, and what I do is we use a calendar booking software, and it has questions that you need to fill in before you can get to book. And so, and depending on what your profitable avatar is and what your outcome is, well, that is where it's going to dictate what your questions are going to be. Okay, so, and you can also put, here is a really good one, is you can actually have as one of those questions, do you have fun, the solutions that I have to help you with range from X to X. Do you have the funds to be able to invest in some help without causing you hardship? So that's a bit of a clumsy wording. I have better wording that I have in all of our templates that our Academy clients get, but but that's just another nice way of setting an expectation for them. If you don't have anything that is less than $1,000 to offer people, we'll say that, and then also let them know that you've got higher prices as well. So that's the really important thing, is you need to have a qualifying process. And if people don't fit that criteria, then you say to them, look, you don't qualify to be able to get on the call for these solutions I've got, but here is something else that will help you. And it could be some blog posts that you've got. It might be a cheaper program that you've got that's an introductory. It might be a module that you've got. So it's really nice to have something up there, so when you're rejecting them, you're still helping. But keep in mind, this is your time that you're investing. So only spend it with the people who are most likely to invest in what you've got. Okay, so number one, you've got to be super duper clear on your profitable avatar. What is their transformational journey and how keen are they on that? And what's your transformational promise? You've got that. Then the number two is have a process so that you only get those people on the call. Okay. Now, number three, the thing to have before you even get on a sales call that is going to make it so you're actually looking forward to them, is you want to make sure that you have an offer that is an absolute no-brainer. One that helps, can guarantee them the outcome that they want to get. And that when they look at it, the way that you have structured that offer, where they go, that's a no-brainer. Like, honestly, that's going to help me to achieve this, and it's going to save me time, money, heartache, whatever it is that you're selling. That makes it fun. So the example that I gave you before is they've got another podcast for you, Julie Watson, where she talks about how she was really, really scared of doing any sales calls, and the process that she's just gone through, getting those three things in place. She actually was really looking forward to the sales calls. And then one of the first sales calls that she did after doing that was a $20,000 sale, her largest sale yet, and it was easy. She actually enjoyed it, wasn't nervous about it, because if you've got those three things in place, then you actually look forward to it, because you've got something that can change their life. If you'd like some help with that, well, I've got your back, baby. I've got 2 ways to be able to help you. The first one is I've got some extra free training that goes much more in depth into this, so you will have an action plan of exactly what you need to have in place so that all the things that I talked about there to do with your clearness on your avatar right through to your offer, you'll know the exact process and it's a really good action steps. So that's in the free training I've got for you. You can just go to romanceyourtribe.com and there'll be links at the top to where you can go and get that. So it's on demand, runs a few times a day, and you could knock that over today. So you'll have your plan. Now, if you know, look, I just want to make this happen and I want your help, Janet. I want to get access to all of your templates. I want to get the step-by-step. I don't want to have to work it all out myself. Well, I've got you back there as well. And that's where the Attract Your Tribe Academy comes in. And this is where the success stories come from from my business. So if that sounds like you and you'd like to know more about it, well, just, again, you can find there on the Romance Your Tribe website, or you can just send me a message. You can go to private message, send me an email, just say, like to know a bit more about the Academy, and my team will send you the links to the private invite, because normally you can only join after going through the training, but I can also send you a private invite as well. And and also, if you want to know more, if you've had a look at everything and you think, I just want to see if it's right for me, we can hop on a sales call. You can see how I do it, and we can just see if it's right, answer any questions. Okay. That is it. Now, I always like to end with some action steps, and action steps in terms of the feeling of scarce-sighted. Now, if you've been following me for a while, if you've listened to any podcasts, scarce-sighted is that feeling that you get when something is really exciting. Like if you can make it work, it's going to make such a difference in your life. It's really exciting, but it scares the shit out of you. Okay, that's that feeling of scarce-sighted. And I can tell you now, any entrepreneur knows, anybody in business knows that you have to be willing to step up into scarce-sighted, because it's all about growth. So I really encourage you to do that. And a great way to do that is from today, what I really, really challenge you to do is to think about these 3 things that I've talked about and what have you already got in place. And as part of that scarce-sighted, I want you to take just one action, okay? Now, if you've got those 3 things that I've talked about, that action might be whatever is the gap that you can see first. And do it in the order that I've talked about. The avatar, the qualification of who you're going to get on the call, and then what are you going to offer. So wherever the gap is, take one step to clarifying that. And it could be going and doing the free training. That's going to give you some clarity there as well. And my extra challenge to you is to come over and share with me, okay? Either drop me an email or come over and just share, say, in your Instagram stories, like what's an aha and what are you going to do this week? That's my challenge to you. One thing, just one thing from today's episode. Implement it this week and you will see those stepwise progress that you're going to get in your business. So go do it, get out there, make a difference, and I can't wait to hear from you. Okay, bye. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I loved hanging out with you, so let's do this again. The best way to do that is to subscribe right now to Romance Your Tribe podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you'd like to dive in deeper to more episodes, great resources, and really in-depth free training, come over and join me at romanceyourtribe.com. Bye.